Hello and welcome to Euclid Academy. In this video, we want to revise the ECZ 2016 Paper 2. We're going to look at the questions one by one and see how we can solve past paper questions. It's a very good thing to do, especially if you'll be having exams, to go through past papers, and that is what we're going to do. So we're going to go through this past paper together so that we can see how we can solve questions in mathematics and how we can answer them. So in paper 2 you have two sections, section A and section B, and then you have got a total of 12 questions. Section A, you have to answer all the questions. In section B, you can choose from 4. On paper 2, you are given questions. You can look up formulas you can look up in case you forget: algebra, series, trigonometry, and statistics. In case you have to look up one or two formulas which you forget, this might come in handy and it might probably be helpful. So without wasting much time, let's dive into the first part of this question paper and let's answer it. So question 1 reads: given that matrix Q is 3, then x, -2, 4, find the value of x given that the determinant of Q is 2. Inverse of Q. So this is part 1a number 1 and 1a number 2. Then part B says solve the equation. Okay, so first of all we're going to look at the first part, which says given that the matrix Q is equals to 3x, -2 or 4, find the value of x given that the determinant of Q is 2. Alright, so you have to look at the marks you've been given here. We've got 2 marks here and 2 marks for this. So let's get into it. Let's find x. So finding the value of x, we have to find the determinant of Q. So at this point you have to know how to find the determinant of Q, and that is the only way that you can find the value of x. So you need to equate or to formulate or make an expression on finding the determinant of Q, determinant of matrix Q, and then you have x there in that equation, and then you can solve for x. That will give you the value of x. So what I'm saying is, how do you find the determinant of Q first of all? So determinant of Q, or of any 2 by 2 matrix, you simply have to multiply these numbers here in this diagonal and then subtract with the product of these values in that diagonal. So we are going to multiply 3 times 4, and then from there we'll say 3 times 4, so 3 times 4, 3 times 4, and then from there we're going to subtract -2 times x. So we'll say minus, I'll put brackets here so I do not confuse things. It'll help me to keep things neat, and so that I shouldn't confuse myself. So -2 times x, that will give us -2x, and then I'll close like that, and then this will give me the determinant of Q. So what is the value of the determinant of Q? They've said the determinant of Q is 2, so I'm going to put 2 there. And then I'm going to say 3 times 4 here, that gives me 12, so that would be 12. So here there's a negative, so before I put the negative here, remember that there's already a negative there, in times 2x. So what's going to happen here is that I'm going to get rid of, I'm going to open the brackets, but I wouldn't just open the brackets because I have 2 signs here. So I have to multiply. That is how we open the brackets. So there's a negative here and a negative there. So when you multiply negative times negative, that should give you a positive. Negative times negative, the answer is positive. So now you remain with 2x. So I'm going here and say 2x, and then everything is equal to 2. Okay, and then this is simply an inequation that should be grade 8, 7 inequation, which we can easily solve. So we can say 2x. So I'm going to put this here. So we're going to say 2x is equal to, I have 2 here, so I'll put 2 minus, I'm going to bring 12 on the other side, or subtract 12 from both sides of the equation, whichever way you choose. or you say it's just simply the sum. So I can bring 12 on the other side or subtract 12 from both sides. So this will be 2x is equal to 2 minus 12. The answer is minus or negative 10. Then what you have here, you simply just have to divide both sides by 2 and you cancel that. So you have your x there is equal to 2 into negative 10. The answer is negative 5. So x is equal to negative 5 and that is your answer. So that is the answer for question 1a, Roman numeral 1. The answer x is equal to 5. So now that we know the value of x, we have to find the inverse of q. So first of all, before we go to find the inverse of q, so which means that our matrix now becomes, instead of having x there, we have negative 5. So q, the matrix q becomes 3, negative 5, negative 2, and then we have 4 there. That is the matrix. And when you want to find the inverse of q, we simply use the over 2 by 2 matrix. We're going to use the formula which says that, and if you are part of our mathematics class, you already know the formula which we talked about, that the determinant of the inverse, rather not the determinant, the inverse of a matrix like q is simply 1 divided by the determinant of q, and then we're going to multiply with the values, the entries of q. We're going to change them a little bit. We're going to swap these in the right diagonal, 3 and 4. They're going to swap. So where there's 3, you're going to have 4. Where there's 4, you're going to have 3. And these two entries or entities will change the signs to the opposite signs. So this is negative 2, it will become positive 2, and then here we have x being negative 5, here it will become positive 5. Okay, so let's do it. So the inverse of q is equals to 1 over the determinant of q, which is, they've told you that the determinant is 2, so you just say 2 and then you open like that, and then we say we swap 3 for 4 and 4 for 3. So where there's 3 we put 4, and then where there's 4 we put the entry or entity 3, and then like that. And then here we have negative 2, it will change the sign from negative 2 to positive 2, and then here we have negative 5 on this matrix, it will be positive 5, and that is the inverse of the matrix. Of course, others will want to go ahead and divide, so the half here, multiply that by each and every value, it simply becomes the same. If you want, you can go further and say 4 over 2, and that becomes, say, 4 over 2 here, and then this would be 2 over 2, and then this would be 5 over 2, and then this would be 3 over 2. So what's simply going on here is that I've multiplied the half times into by each entry of this matrix, and then that will be this, which of course I can go ahead and say, okay, let me just put it here, go ahead and say this is 2 into 4, that is just 2, and then I have 2 into 2, that is just 1, 5 into 2, that is 2 into 5, that is 5 over 2, and then I have 3 over divided by 2. So that could be the matrix here. So that is how we can find the inverse of the matrix, or rather most of the time I just like to leave it here. Probably this is enough to give you 2 marks. So if you want, you can go ahead and multiply this value with the numbers inside, but if you want, you can just leave it the way it is. It depends with what you prefer or what the examiner prefers, but whichever way, I still think this is enough to earn you the 2 marks. Now let us jump to question 2, 1b, which says solve the equation x squared plus 2x is equals to 7, giving you answers correct to 2 decimal places. So we're just going to have this on the next page, and then we say solve this equation. So this is a quadratic equation, and when solving a quadratic equation, there are three methods that we can use. We can use completing the square, or we can use the factorization method, or we can solve by using the quadratic formula. Now this equation here, which is a quadratic equation, because the highest x index that we have is 2, so which means a quadratic equation. So we can rewrite this as plus 2x, and then we can bring the 7 this side, which should become minus 7 is equal to 0. So you should always put your quadratic equations in this form when you're trying to solve them, because this will help you to determine the correct values to use in your formula, if we are using the formula, that is. So this equation here can be solved by using the quadratic formula. If you try to solve this equation by the factorization method, it won't work and it will be very difficult for you. So the best way is to use the quadratic formula, which says that x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, and then we divide both sides by 2 multiplied by a. So this is the formula that you should use when you are for solving the quadratic equations like this, which cannot be factorized easily. Or you can use this complete the square method, but probably this will be the best option to use. So let's go ahead. So what do these b's, a's and c's in this formula mean? So this means the value of the coefficient of this one here is considered to be an a, the coefficient of x is considered to be a b, and the constant here is considered a c, together with the sign. Don't just pick the number, pick together with the sign. So I'm going to say here we're going to have x from the formula is equal to, so here it says negative b, so b is 2, so it will be negative 2 plus or minus the square root of b, the square root of b squared, which is 2 squared, right? So 2 squared minus 4 times a. What is a here? A is 1, and we know anything times 1 is that thing itself. So 4 times, this is 4 times a, so 4 times 1, and I would want to write the 1 because it doesn't change the thing. Okay, so next it will be c, which is the constant. Now the constant is negative 7, so I'll put negative 7 here. But if you still insist that I put the 1, I'll just put it here. I'll just say 1, right, to make things, in case some of us don't really this is the first time we're getting this. Okay, so divide everything. People got a mistake of only dividing this part by 2. You divide everything that you have here by 2a, which is 2 times 1 here. Again, I'll write the a 1 if you insist. Okay, 2a, which is 2 times 1, and then from here we will solve it, and we'll say x is equal to, this is our x there, we'll probably say x is equal to, now here we can say negative 2, and then I'll say plus or minus the square root. So now we're going to solve everything in here, okay, once on a calculator. Remember, this is paper 2 and we're given the opportunity to use a calculator, so we're going to grab our calculator and punch this right in to get the answer. Alright, so let's pull up our calculator here. So I'm going to say 2 squared minus 4 times negative 7 times 1. Okay, so we can say 2 squared, we know it's 4. If you can do it in your head, that will be very helpful, because it will save you time from. Now sometimes you also need to know how to use the calculator. Some of us do not really know. So 2 squared, I'll say 2 squared minus minus 4, I'll punch 4. Then when you're multiplying by negative numbers, I encourage that you use a you use brackets. They're really helpful. So times -7, and then you can say times 1. Those not really necessary, but yeah, if you want to make things appeal and just to be okay. So here, this is what we have here, negative. So I'm just putting this value inside here. Only this expression is what I've entered on the calculator. Nothing of this or that, just this one inside here, and I want to put the answer here. So this is what I have, and then the value that we're going to get, we have the answer. So the answer is 32. You can see there we have 32, so 32 is our answer. So we're going to come down this square root of ours and write 32 as the answer of the value. So this will be 32, and then we are going to divide everything by 2 times 1. We won't use a calculator for this word. No, it is 2, and then this will give us so now here we've got plus and minus here. So how do we handle this? Because we've got like 2 signs and we can't really do 2 signs at once. No, we can't, but we can separate them. So we come here and we can say, okay, so I'll say x is equal to, I'll say -2 plus the square root of 32. Only divide everything by 2. Don't just divide square root of 32, but everything by 2. Or -2 minus square root of 32, divide everything by 2. And then we can see that from here, then we can have 2 values. Again, we can use our calculator to now execute or calculate these values and get the answer directly if we are able to. So let's bring up the calculator again and perform this calculation. So I'll try to be as fast as I can so that we cover much questions, because if I'm slow, I won't be able to cover a lot of questions. But again, don't want to be too fast. So we say -2, so I'm going to clear everything. On your calculator you can clear everything, and then we say -2, so you can say -2 plus, so we say plus is square root of 32. Okay, so this is what we get. This is our answer, 3.65, with lots and lots of values here, probably some infinite number of values. So then from here, just go ahead and punch the division sign, or you divide here on the calculator. Don't copy this number and write it here and then divide by 2. Just do it directly from your calculator is right. So just divide everything, not what I wanted. Alright, so I'm going to say you on your calculator probably you have the equal sign there, so we're going to say equals, and then we already have the answer here, so that is it. So once you punch on the equal sign, next you punch on the division side. You divide your whatever answer that you have by 2. Remember, we're dividing by 2 here, so divide by 2, and then you get your answer right here. So which is 1 point, as you can see here, we've got 1.828, lots and lots of numbers, but here they say we want you to give us the answer only to 2 decimal places, only 2 decimal places. So when we come here, we're going to go only to 2 decimal places. So we look at the decimal point, and then we look at the next 2 values after the decimal point, and then we have 1, 2. Now if the next value is 5 or greater, we are going to round up this second value here. If less than 5, then we leave it the way it is. I'm sure most of us know the rounding off rules. So we've got 0.82, there's 8 next to 2, which is greater than 5, so we're going to add a 1 to 2 to become 3, so the answer will be 1.83. so our answer here for this one will be 1.83. And then we have this one here which says -2 minus the square root of 32 divided by 2. So again, we have to put this in a calculator because it will give us a different answer. Why? Because there's got a negative here and this one has got a positive here. So this one is for a negative now. The one we did was for a positive value. So we have our calculator here, and probably we've kind of already have things already going on here. So we can clear everything or if you're using a calculator, you can try to use the history of your calculator to pull up the previous calculations, and so that you don't really have to punch in things again. So different calculators got different ways of pulling up the history of the calculations you've made, so you can find those for calculators like Casio. I think that should be the up or down arrow. It will bring you the history of the calculations that you entered, or the values you entered. So it will bring them like this. So all you have to do, you can just go to where there's the negative sign. This was for the earlier one. We want the one with the square root. Okay, this is what we want, because this is what we're solving right here on the right side. If you can see, on your right side. So we come here and then we go to where there's a positive sign. We want to put a negative sign this time, so we remove that. We go on the calculator and punch negative or minus, and then you can see we have the values there have changed, and this is, we have got negative 7 point these numbers here, and then we can say equals to give us the final answer, and then we divide. We just punch on the divide by sign there, and then we say 2, then we say the answer there. So again, to two decimal places, we got negative 3.12, and then the next value next to 2 is greater than 5, definitely. Then we round up the 2 there, so our answer here is going to be negative 3.83. so we are going to say negative 3.83, negative 3.83 as the second value. So x has got two values, two possible values, this 1.83 or negative 3.83. so if you want to be sure, probably you can try to put these values in here and then see if they give you something which is like a 0. If they do, then you've done everything correctly. So I'm going to try to do that. Let us try to put in these values to see if they give us something 0. Then if they give something like 0, I'm saying something because we've rounded up some values here, so we might not be correctly accurate, but we should be up to 0, and then that means we have solved this correctly. So if we pull up our calculator here and then we look at the equation that we have, that is the equation that we have, and then okay, let's say we cancel everything, and then where there's x, we are going to put, let's start with 1.8, so we're going to say 1.83, and then that is, we square that, and then we say that is plus 2 times, okay, x should be 1.83, and then we say minus 7, right? Minus 7. So minus 7. Okay, so I told you that we should get something close to 0. So it says 0.0089. So it means definitely we are correct. The reason we're getting to two decimal places, this is 0.01, but which is just almost 0. Okay, not really 0, but it's because we rounded off our number here to two decimal places, our values of x. No wonder we're getting these extra values here. But the answer, definitely, that means you are correct and you've done the right thing. So if again you remove the 1.83 with negative 3.83, remember that was our second value here. So if I put negative 3, remember what I said, like, use the history of your calculator. Don't remove everything and start from scratch. You can use the history of your calculator and then just punch in there. So say 3, or probably come here and get rid of that. We say negative 3.83, and then we come next, we go all the way to here, and then again we can say remove that, and then we say negative 3. Okay, we need to get rid of the 0 because that is 30.83, so we can get rid of the 0 like that. So negative 3.83, and then again you see the answers we're getting, so which means definitely we've done the right thing. So this is how you can solve a quadratic expression, and which by using the quadratic formula, and how to make sure that what you've done is the correct thing by entering the values. Now I'd recommend you to prove your work, or have this proof if you have enough time in the exam, because probably proving things, use this in the extra time that you have after writing everything. If you have some few minutes, you can just try to prove what you did here, see if it was correct. So but in the exam, probably I would advise, just after getting the answers, if you feel like confident that you did the right thing, just go through and solve the next question. But if you have extra minutes at the end, go back and go through what you did. And these are tips that we give in our classes, in the examination, in our online classes for Euclide Academy. If you're part of those classes, I should mention as well that we do offer online tuitions for mathematics, and we give you these exam tips which will help you to pass your exam very, very well. So let's jump to the next question. And the question is about that's question 2. It reads, of the 50 villagers who can tune to Kanban radio station, 29 listen to news, 25 listen to sports, 22 listen to music, 11 listen to both news and sports, 9 listen to both sports and music, 12 listen to both news and music, 4 listen to all 3 programs, and 2 do not listen to any program. Draw a Venn diagram to illustrate this information. 2 marks. How many villages? A, listen to music only, B, listen to one type of program only, and C, listen to 2 types of programs only. Okay, so this question is on sets, so you need to know how to work with Venn diagrams, how to draw Venn diagrams. So if you have this cumbersome question, which at a first glance looks like a very complicated question, but normally if you just go on this question step by step, it's not really that complicated. So let's see on how we can solve such questions. So what you do, you need to draw Venn diagrams, and here we have got how many categories? We have got the ones that listen to news, we've got sports, and we've got music. So these are the 3 main categories that we have, and we have to focus on this. Not talking about those who do not listen, but just the ones we have. So we're going to represent these 3 categories by using the 3 circles. So let's go that. Let's do that. You're going to draw a circle like this one, and at this point it is very important that you come with a compass, because it will help you to construct the circles. So you make sure when you go to the exam you carry a compass. So you draw this circle. So this circle is going to represent those who like news, or the news category. So we'll just say N, and then we're going to draw another one to represent the ones who listen to sports, and the other one to those who listen to music. So this is how we're going to arrange our categories. So we've got one for news, and the other one we're going to say it is for sports, like that. And then the one here we're going to say is for those who listen to music. So this is the first step. This is what you do. You construct these 3 circles here, and then we can have the one which represents the universal set, which you're going to put the rectangular shape around this, or the square shape, whatever it is. So you just put up this. So this will represent the universal set. So the universal set, this is set N, set S, and this is set M. And then where you put your attention as you're going to fill in this is where the one which intersects everything. Where, so here you start with 29, 25, those who listen to news, who listen to sports, who listen to music. So if you get these values, numbers directly, and put them in here, that will confuse you and will confuse everything, because we have people who listen to news but they also listen to sports, others also listen to music. So you have to start with those people first who listen to everything. So here, those who listen to everything, you come here, you say, so I would advise you start at the end and then going upwards. So 2 do not listen to any program, so you can put this 2 here because they do not listen to any program. And then you say 4 listen to all the 3 programs. I think this is the best way to approach these questions. You start from down here going upwards, that's where you finish. rather than starting from here coming here. That will confuse you. So 4 listen to all the 3 programs, so you put 4 in this point here because it's the intersection of the 3 programs, and then that leaves you with 12 listen to both news and music, so meaning news and music, which is this everything here, they should be 12. So if they are 12, you already have 4 here, so it should be 12 minus 4, and that will give you 8 here. 8 people listen to news and music. Okay, and then you come here, you say 9 listen to both sports and music. So you say sports and music, they are 9, so you already have 4 guys here. So 9 minus 4, that gives you, remains with 5 here. And then we have 11 listening to both news and sports. So 11 minus 4, what we have is 11 minus 4, that should give us 7, right? That should give us 7. So 11 minus 4 is 7. So now we have got this here. So we say 22 listen to music. The question says 22 listen to music, so those who listen to music are 22. So again, we don't put 22 here. No, that is wrong. Don't do that, because you'll be counting these people twice. So you subtract here 22 minus the total here, which is 8 plus 4, 12 plus 5. That should give you 12 plus 5, that's 17. 22 minus 17, that should, the answer should be 5. So here you put 5 rather. So here we've got 5. So we do the same for each value. So we have 22 listen to music, we already done that. 25 listen to sports. So sports, we have got 25, so you're going to say 7 plus 4, that is 11, plus 5, that is 16. So we subtract 16 from 25, 16 from 25, and then what do we get? We get a 9. 16, 25 minus 16, so that should give us 9. And then here we have got those who listen to news, 29. So here we've got 12 plus 7, that should give us 19. So this is 19, and then we're subtracting 29 minus 19, and then we should have 10 right here. So this is a complete Venn diagram to illustrate this information, 2 marks. So if you again you want to prove that you did the right thing, you can just add everything here so that you get the, if you get 50, that means you did the right thing. So right here I have the values in the calculator again. Just try to see if we did the right thing. So say 2 plus 5, which is 5, plus 4, which is 4, plus 8, which is 8, and then plus 9, which is this 9, plus 7, which is plus 7 there, and we have 40, and then here we have got 10. So if we do 40 plus 10, we already know that will give us 50. So that will give us 50, right? So which means definitely this is the way we can present this information, illustrate this information in the Venn diagram. So now we can easily answer the rest of the questions, which follows. Like A here says how many villagers listen to music only. So you come here to music only is these guys listen to music only, they don't listen to sports or news, so just music. So this would be answer, so it is 5. And then B, you say listen to one type of program only, so this listen to music only, plus this listen to sports only, this listen to news only. So that is 19 plus 5, which gives you 24. And then we've got C, which says listen to 2 types of programs only. So this listen to 2 types, these to 2 types, and those to 2 types. So we can say 8 plus 5, that gives us 13. 13 plus 7, that gives us 20. So those who listen to 2 types of programs only, that gives 20, total of total of 20. So that is how we solve the Venn diagrams. That's how we solve these questions. So next we're going to solve question 3. Again, I'll remind you, if you would like to start online tuitions, we do have online tuitions for mathematics. The classes are from Monday to Friday, and lessons are posted each and every time. You'll be given the timetable. And you haven't subscribed to this channel, I'd kindly advise you to subscribe to the channel as well. So let's get back to question 3. So rather is question 3 2b and not question 3, and we're going to look at 2b. Question 2b says a survey carried out at a certain hospital indicates that the probability that a patient tested positive for malaria is 0.6. What is the probability that 2 patients selected at random, one tested negative while the other tested positive? Both patients tested negative. Okay, so we're going to kind of draw a tree diagram to help us here. We've got these 2 branches. So this is for a positive test, and let's say this is for a negative test. And then we say for a positive test, it is the probability is 0.6. For a negative test, that probably will be 1. Probability of a negative test will be 1 minus 0.6, which gives us 0.4. So we should be 0.4. So probability of positive, probability of negative. And then we've got 2 people here. If one is, what is the probability that 2 patients selected at random, one tested negative while the other positive? So if you select 2 people, so this probably is an independent event, which has the probability of one event doesn't affect the probability of the other. So this is positive, that is negative. So this still becomes 0.6 for positive, negative becomes 0.4. So if we want to find out one tested negative while the other positive, the probability will be 0.6 times 0.4, because that is positive 0.6, negative 0.4, and then we get the answer there. So you can get your calculator, and then you say 0.6 times 0.4, and then you get 0.24 as the probability that one tested positive and the other test negative. Both patients test negative, so we've got the negative here is, so negative is times negative, so these are independent events, so we should be 0.4 times 0.4, which should be give us 0.16, I believe. So 0.4 squared, that should give us 0.16. So this is 0 here, we'll just put it properly. So this is 0.16. So this is a probability that 2 people tested negative, 0.16, and the probability that one tested negative while the other positive is 0.24. So here is just to, you can construct this to help you and then multiply the probabilities. So this, since these are independent events which do not affect the outcome, one event does not affect the outcome of the other event. So we are not told here in the question whether independent or dependent event, but from what we can take this as independent events. So both patients tested negative, so we just multiply the probability of a negative, we multiply it twice, which gives us 0.16, and probability of test one positive, one negative is 0.6 times 0.4, which is 0.24. Alright, so running out of time, and this is probably where we can end here, and we'll solve more questions. If you're in the class for Euclid Academy Mathematics, probably you will have more questions, and we're going to solve this paper fully. and you can look up for the next video for these the next remaining questions. So we'll post this in the next video, the questions in the next video. So see you in the next video, and if you're in a class, see you in class.